how that story of his intersects with mine. And so that's why today I hope that you'll just allow me to give you this kind of personal insight into the journey of faith that has been mine since I became a believer at the age of 10. And let me just tell you that story very quickly. I went to vacation Bible school one day. Is this on? Can you hear okay?
It's not the lapel's not working.
This is not working.
It's either not on or not working.
Well, let's see. It says it's on. Now is it on? Is that what? Is that there? Is it on? No. Okay. Let's get rid of it. Fine. Anybody want one of these? All right, we'll put it there. Great. Now some of you are going to say, we liked it better when we couldn't hear you. I now know that the sound system is on. I've awakened 3 people, and I apologize for that. I was going to share with you that I went to vacation Bible school as a 10-year-old boy on my birthday, my 10th birthday. I did not go because it was a spiritual quest. I went because my sister said that at vacation Bible school, they'd give you all the Kool-Aid you could drink and all the cookies you could eat, and that they played baseball during the breaks. That's what sold it for me. So my reason for going had nothing to do with God. It had everything to do with cookies, Kool-Aid, and baseball. But when I went that day, the pastor came in of the church where the vacation Bible school was being held, and he talked to us about what it meant to know Jesus, what it meant to have your sins forgiven. Now look, I was 10 years old, so it wasn't like my sins were murder, drug addiction, drunkenness. I never really done any big things, the kind of things that later I would think you had to do in order to have a great testimony. I was just a kid, but I knew this, that whatever it was about Jesus, I didn't know it. It never happened to me. And I was a bashful, shy little kid. That may be hard for you to believe, but I really was. And the pastor said, if you want to pray and receive Christ in your life, I'm going to pray a prayer. I want you to lift your hand. And I thought, are you kidding me? Lift my hand. What, so you can humiliate me, point me out, make me an object of scorn? No way. So there was no way I was going to do that. But what I knew he couldn't do was keep me from lifting my heart in that prayer. And that's what I did. And I remember just the presence of the Lord coming over me as he was praying, and I was just accepting in my own heart that what he was saying is what I wanted to have happen in me. And I was so overwhelmed by the presence of the Lord that when it came time to go play baseball, I sat on the steps of the church and I said, no, I can't play. And they said, how come? I said, because I don't want to get dirty. Because I never felt that clean in my life. I think sometimes we think that the Christian life is an experience, but it's really a process. And I always remind people that it's not enough to say, I came to know Christ if we're not still growing in the Lord. I look at my faith in the same way I look at breathing. I've been breathing a long time. Not as long as some of you think I have, but I've been breathing a while. But if I stop breathing now, it doesn't matter how many different years I've been breathing up until now. The moment I stop breathing and my heart stops beating, I start dying. And in 4 to 6 minutes, I'm going to be clinically dead. And in 8 to 12 minutes, I'll be biologically dead. And at that point, all the king's horses and all the king's men won't be able to put me back together again. I'll be graveyard dead. Now, the point in all of that is that if our physical lives have to have continuity, does it not make sense that our spiritual lives need some continuity as well? I meet people sometimes who say, yes, I'm a Christian. I remember when I was a youngster, I went to youth camp. I loved God back then. What about now? My faith needs to be as fresh as my next breath. I need to be updating it all the time. Some of you update Facebook perhaps more than you update your relationship to the Lord. I think you ought to update both. We want to see pictures of you when you were 12. But neither do we want your faith experience to have stopped when you were 12 and went to the youth camp and not be updated, to grow up with you by the time you get to college, and then grow up again when you get out on your own, and grow up again when you get married, and grow up again with you when you have kids, and grow up again when you're establishing your career. At every stage of your life, your faith is important to update. And update doesn't mean that you change to something different in your belief, or conviction. It means that you mature it and grow it, and that it gets even more an integral part of everything that you do and think and believe.